morning and welcome to Morning Movie News. The first of the 3 stories I'll be covering in today's episode was once again chosen by you. In the comments for yesterday's episode, a number of you asked, what do I think of this recently announced Grumpy Cat movie? Now, for those of you who haven't heard, Grumpy Cat is the most famous cat in the world. She unfortunately has a form of dwarfism, which gives her a permanent frown, which everyone thinks is adorable. This cat has a YouTube page, a Facebook page, tons of merchandise, is tweeted about all the time, apparently does book signings where people line up for blocks to meet her and have their picture taken with her. So basically, she is the cat counterpart to Uggy, that adorable famous dog from the artist. And I know a friend of mine has actually gotten in line to meet Uggy and just loves Uggy so much and would be thrilled if there was an Uggy movie, but I don't know anybody who's a Grumpy Cat fan. So if you are, write down below why you like Grumpy Cat so much and if you want to see Grumpy Cat in a movie. But you won't just be seeing Grumpy Cat in this movie. Grumpy Cat will talk. That's what Hollywood's going to do. They're going to animate her famous frowny mouth, give her a voice, and have her be like the female Garfield. Which right there, I'd be interested to know if there is a market for that. There's been a lot of talking animal movies, but I have yet to see one with a female lead. I know some of you think that I talk about this stuff a lot about, gender and race in Hollywood. I think it's important. And now the argument and discussion has moved into animal movies, which I kind of think is hilarious. But you know what, bottom line, this isn't a risky venture. There's not a lot of money on the line, especially today. This is not difficult to produce, even this kind of animation. And you know it's going to do well on DVD. So I think it's a sure thing. It's easy money, and who knows, maybe it'll be a surprise hit. I doubt it when you take a look at the overall box office numbers for live action movies with an animated animal in some way. There aren't a lot of ones with cats, as I was saying, and overall they just don't perform that well, with the exception of Alvin and the Chipmunks, which itself has even fallen off. So we'll see, but as I said, why not? The second story that I'm covering today is that DC Comics and Warner Brothers are making this year the year of Superman. Not just Man of Steel, but Superman in general. Because I guess they're feeling like too much attention is paid to Batman. It's the 75th anniversary of Superman, for heaven's sakes. So let's give the guy the respect he deserves. And, kudos for the company for getting behind him so strongly. And I can only imagine it's still a gray area, but they must feel that the lawsuit over the rights to Superman is settled for them to invest this kind of time and effort and money into raising the character's profile. So what does the year of Superman entail? Well, in May, they released the Superman Unbound, a direct-to-video animated movie. Speaking of animation, there is an animated short that they're prepping with Timm and Zack Snyder, which I think they're going to kind of semi-debut at Comic-Con, which is also going to be very Superman-oriented. But the rumor is that this animated short is one long continuous take, just one cut, and it's going to show different versions of Superman. It's going to be like an homage to Superman through the years. I think that could look really cool. Do I think that's a great use of this kind of attention? Not particularly. I think everyone prefers narrative story, and while this might look cool, I would be much happier if this was part of a package. Like, look at this cool continuous shot, and then here's an interesting new story. And also, I also think it shows some reluctance on Warner Brothers to commit to this new Superman, because I think they're still waiting to see how it's accepted at the box office. So, very tellingly in the short, they're going to pay their respects to all the different versions of Superman, because they're still apparently all up for grabs. So you have that animated short. You have San Diego Comic-Con. It's going to be Superman, a lot of Superman there, they're saying. Also, in the comic book world, 2 big Superman comic books come out in June for Man of Steel and this year of Superman. There's the very heavily publicized Superman Unchained with Scott Snyder and Jim Lee. That is a huge, if you don't read comics, that's like Scott Snyder is basically right now the Christopher Nolan of comics. So that's how big a book that's going to probably be. And then also I've been seeing ads for a new Batman-Superman team-up book with Greg Pak writing it. I think his work is medium, but also Jay Lee is going to be doing the artwork. And if you've read Before Watchmen Ozymandias, you know that that's going to be a treat right there. So I'm picking it up just for his artwork. And then also there in the fall, there's this Infinite Crisis new online multiplayer video game coming out, which apparently they're like, Superman will be a big part of it. How do I feel about this? I still feel that DC, even with their year of Superman, refuses to definitively define the character. I was actually talking to somebody from DC at a recent comic book event, at the Dare to Draw comic book event, and I thought it was interesting that DC itself acknowledges, at least internally, that they just have really not come down hard on which Superman is their Superman. And he said that, that's their most divisive character, so they're aware of the fact that fans are like, is he farm boy or is he an alien? And I thought that was very interesting. Also, the other interesting thing this person said was that the other character that has that problem is Wonder Woman, and so I agree with that. I think she does have a lot of similar problems. See, Superman and Wonder Woman are so similar, even in their problems. So I'm still going to enjoy the Year of Superman. At the very least, I hope we'll get some good stories out of it. Side note, if you've seen the recent behind-the-scenes look at the Superman action, I thought it was pretty good, but I thought it was funny that it kind of like halfway through you realize that it's just a giant promotional ad for Sears, especially because it's up on a Sears YouTube page, and I thought that was funny. And I think, I wish they would just kind of acknowledge that more instead of saying, well, we want Superman not just to crash into a generic store, but a store that everybody recognizes. And I think that I would have more respect if they were like, you know what, Sears wanted to get involved with an American icon because Sears is the staple of Americana, and we just think they're a good fit. So transparency, please. All right, third story. Pirates 5. It is not only coming your way, but the directors have been chosen. The Kon Tiki team, this is a Norwegian directing duo, has been upgraded. They are getting the call from Disney to do Pirates 5, which I think is fascinating. That is, again, another risk that another studio is taking. We've got James Wan taking over the Fast and Furious franchise, and now you have these guys taking over Pirates 5. From what I can tell, I have not seen any of their films, I'm afraid, but they seem to me a little bit like to be the Norwegian Robert Rodriguez's. And they've made a film called Bandidos, in addition to Kon Tiki, which of course we all know was Oscar nominated, but they made a film called Bandidos, which starred Penelope Cruz, who was of course in Pirates 4, and that relationship might have helped them land the Pirates 5 deal. But also, as some people have been pointing out already online, Salma Hayek is also in that movie. So will Salma Hayek come on board the Pirates franchise? I think maybe I would actually be against that. I love Salma Hayek. She does a really nice job. I've been impressed with her self-promotion and her producing her own films over the last couple of years. But I think that if you team up her with Penelope Cruz, it really does start to seem a little bit like a Robert Rodriguez film. And I think it brings the whole franchise down a little bit, it cheapens it a little bit. Sorry, Robert Rodriguez fans, but I mean, the guy loves, that he wears his cheapness on his sleeve as a filmmaker. So I just would like to see the Kon Tiki guys do a great job with Penelope Cruz and maybe give her a little bit more of a role, since she won't be pregnant when she's shooting this movie. She'll have had the baby right before her second child. So those are the three stories, and now on to some questions that you guys asked from yesterday. The first was, what do I personally think of 3D? I know a number of you dislike it, but the person who asked me this question happens to be a fan. I like 3D when it's used correctly. I get annoyed, like for Iron Man 3, I went and I paid extra money. Well, I had to because I saw it in IMAX, so I had no choice. But I don't like paying for 3D and then basically feeling that it was not necessary. But I have to say, when 3D is well used, I think it makes for a fantastic movie-going experience. I loved the 3D in Alice in Wonderland. I loved the 3D in Oz the Great and Powerful this year. I thought in Gatsby it was crucial to the movie-going experience. I don't think it would be the same film in 2D. So I think filmmakers have a responsibility to use it correctly. So I'm a fan of it. If a movie's in 3D, I will see it in 3D. That's just the way I'm going to continue to go. Disappointment be damned. So that's my thoughts on 3D. The other question was another kind of movie-going related question, and it was, if I could change anything about the movie-going experience, what would it be? That's an easy one. I would demand no talking in theaters. And there are already some companies that really enforce this. There's the ArcLight out in Los Angeles on the West Coast, and also Alamo Drafthouse, which is, of course, the famous movie theater that sticks up for the rights of its patrons. They started in Austin, Texas, and they've been expanding all over the country. They're actually opening some in New York soon, where I'm located. And I just think that, that's where movie-going has a problem. Right now, they're losing out to home video, not because of a little bit because of the money, but my feeling is largely because movie-going has become a dirty, loud, rude experience, where for some reason, people who are going to the movie theater think that that's their living room. And I live in fear of the person sitting behind me after I've gotten my seat and chosen it and I can't move because it's too crowded, that late comer who doesn't care and gets that one empty seat behind me or two empty seats behind me and just talks through the whole movie and just ruins something I've been looking forward to going to. So I hope that these other movie theaters do so well that it forces the major chains to move over to enforcing it as well, which is what's happened on the West Coast with reserved seating. These smaller chains started out offering reserved seating. It was so popular that all of the big companies had to start doing reserved seating, and now even here at the IMAX on 68th Street and Broadway, it's reserved seating. I loved reserved seating. I would also like to see that come into effect as well. So that's Friday's morning movie news. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Leave your thoughts down below, as well as topics you'd like to see covered on Monday and any questions you'd like answered. Thanks for watching. Bye.